The woman was simply enjoying a grilled fish, but she didn't think her husband would show up. After returning from the sea, she quickly shoved the leftover fish into her mouth and then buried a stick that she'd used to string the fish in the sand. Then she went out to meet her, putting on an act of genuine concern. Noticing how thoughtful his wife was, he pulled out 2 tiny fish from his pocket, even though the haul was pretty meager. She didn't complain. In fact, she even boosted about it. But then a poor man who was also stuck on the deserted island walked by and warned her that the yellow fish were toxic and dangerous to eat. The rich woman was crushed by this news. To prove that she could survive on the island, she decided to take the rich man's diving goggles while he was sleeping, but it was this decision that he would regret for the rest of his life. As the boy paused for a moment, he noticed the man in the sea was trying to catch a fish that was darting around like any other fish. It dawned on him that his own diving gear had vanished, just as he suspected. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. They're using a harpoon to track each other down, ready to settle old scores and create new ones. The man's widest things were getting tense and swiftly pulled the boy close, hoping to avoid any conflict. However, the boy was feeling deeply frustrated and unable to lash out at the man, turned his anger towards the woman instead. When the man returned fishing, he strolled past a shed, wearing a self-satisfied grin. If he was making fun of him for being a skilled survivor with his own equipment, what he didn't anticipate was how the man would respond. Their surprisingly calm response. At first, the guy doesn't see the issue, but when he proudly presents the fish to his wife, he notices that she's hiding something from him, along with the boy's strange behavior and his wife's actions. With a bizarre demeanor, the man suddenly regained his composure. Even though he was already fuming, he couldn't help but bite his tongue, realizing he was in a tough spot. In contrast, his wife, his attitude made it impossible for him to handle the situation calmly. In a fit of anger, he grabbed her hair and pulled her in front of the boy, trying to show her just how big a mistake she had made. Leave him. But he never imagined that then his heart to make pay a heavy price. However, the most crucial thing was to stay alive. He used the plastic bottles he found to make a snorkel. When he dived into the sea again, the effect was no worse than the professional. This made him feel all too comfortable as he bought a fish to treat himself. When suddenly he stumbled upon a rundown shipwreck. The guy excitedly flipped the boat over. There was a large hole at the bottom of the boat, but he didn't hesitate. He took the risk of yanking a rope from the boat and tugged it fiercely to the surface. But the man's strength quickly faded. He had to come up for a bit and was breathing hard. He wasn't willing to give up his opportunity to escape, so he took a deep breath and dove back in. After half a day of hard work, the man eventually pulled the boat onto the shore. When the woman and the boy saw it, they were in disbelief and rushed to help. However, the man already held a grudge against them. He keeps them away from the boat. As he regained his strength, the man worked on fixing the boat, but after just half a day, he managed to fix the boat. But the boy freaked out because before he got stuck on the island, he was the guy. Weeder, when he made his escape from the island, he was determined to return to avenge his wife, so he teamed up with the woman. When the man went down to the ocean to fish, they teamed up to launch the boat to the sea when the man figured out it was already too late. But the strange thing is, when he saw that they managed to escape, instead of getting angry, he just smiled an intriguing smile. But it didn't take long before the woman noticed that seawater was flooding in. She attempted to patch the leak using a cushion, but it didn't work. Then they realized they had fallen into the man's trap.